The late 1960s in America were a crucible of cultural upheaval. Free love, anti-war protests, and a burgeoning counterculture promised a new era of peace and enlightenment. But lurking beneath this vibrant surface was a darkness, a charismatic figure who would twist these ideals into a terrifying and bloody reality. His name was Charles Manson. Born in 1934 to a teenage mother, Charles Mills Maddox spent his early life in and out of institutions. A childhood marked by neglect and a yearning for belonging would shape a man who desperately craved attention and control. By his early 30s, Manson was a seasoned criminal, with convictions ranging from theft to pimping. But it was in the burgeoning hippie scene of California that he would find his most captive audience. Drawn to the promise of free living and spiritual awakening, Manson arrived in San Francisco as the summer of love was fading. He possessed a peculiar charisma, a hypnotic gaze, and a talent for manipulating vulnerable individuals. He preached a philosophy that blended elements of Eastern mysticism, Scientology, and his own twisted interpretations of the Bible and the Beatles' White Album. He gathered around him a group of lost souls, mostly young women, who became utterly devoted to him. They called him Charlie, and he became their guru, their father figure, their god. He established a commune at the Spahn Ranch, a dilapidated movie set in the desolate hills outside Los Angeles. Here, under his sway, the Manson family lived an isolated existence, their minds increasingly warped by his paranoid delusions. Manson's worldview became increasingly apocalyptic. He preached of a coming race war, which he dubbed Helter Skelter, believing that black people would rise up and slaughter white people. He saw himself and his family as the destined survivors, who would emerge from hiding to rule the world. The Beatles' White Album, with its seemingly nonsensical lyrics, became his sacred text, each song interpreted through the lens of his escalating paranoia. In the summer of 1969, Manson's dark prophecies took a horrifying turn. He ordered his followers to commit a series of brutal murders, believing these acts would ignite the Helter Skelter race war. He himself did not participate directly in the killings, but his influence was undeniable. On the night of August 9, 1969, members of the Manson family invaded the home of actress Sharon Tate and her husband, director Roman Polanski, who was away at the time. Tate, 8.5 months pregnant, and her friends Jay Sebring, Abigail Folger, and Wojciech Frykowski were brutally murdered. The following night, Leno and Rosemary LaBianca were similarly slaughtered in their home across town. The senseless violence and the seemingly random nature of the crimes sent shockwaves across the nation, shattering the idyllic image of the California dream. The investigation that followed was complex and painstaking. Initially, the police had no clear motive or suspects. However, a series of seemingly unrelated clues and the eventual testimony of Manson family members led investigators to Spahn Ranch and to the horrifying truth behind the murders. Linda Kasabian, a member of the family who did not participate in the murders, became a key witness for the prosecution. Her chilling testimony painted a picture of Manson's absolute control over his followers and the twisted ideology that fueled their violence. The trial of Charles Manson and several of his followers was a media sensation. Manson's bizarre courtroom behavior, his wild eyes, his rambling pronouncements, the swastika he carved into his forehead, captivated and horrified the world. In 1971, Manson and 4 of his followers, Susan Atkins, Patricia Krenwinkel, Leslie Van Houten, and Charles Tex Watson, were convicted of murder and conspiracy to commit murder. They were initially sentenced to death, but their sentences were commuted to life in prison after California abolished the death penalty in 1972. Even behind bars, Manson remained a figure of morbid fascination. He gave numerous interviews, his pronouncements often cryptic and disturbing. He became a symbol of evil, a dark stain on the tapestry of the 1960s. The legacy of Charles Manson and the Manson family murders is profound and unsettling. It exposed a dark underbelly to the counterculture movement and served as a stark reminder of the dangers of charismatic manipulation and the fragility of the human mind. The victims and their families continue to bear the weight of this horrific chapter in history. Charles Manson died in prison in 2017 at the age of 83. But the shadow of his crimes and his influence continues to linger, a cautionary tale about the seductive power of cults and the devastating consequences of unchecked fanaticism. If you like this video, like, subscribe, and feel free to buy me a cup of coffee at Patreon/Dark Dossiers.